I think it's different everywhere, but I think we want to see accountability when police act with misconduct. That's definitely a common theme among America. And with these specific cases of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, people want to see justice served in the criminal system. They want to see criminal charges brought against the police officers involved in those killings. And you know, whether that's justified or not is up to the prosecutors to the side and the local law enforcement there. But I mean, as far as policy discussions, there's going to be all sorts of things that we are going to be pursuing here in Utah, and I know nationwide, a lot of other groups. We need to talk about more de-escalation training. We have to talk about use of body cameras and regulation around that. Abolishing qualified immunity is another one. I'm sure we'll go into depth later on, but banning forcible entries with no-knock warrants, just to name a few of the goals we've been pursuing here in Utah, and I think are smart to pursue on the state level elsewhere.
I think what I would say is that we have to separate out, the protests and the sort of policy recommendations that have followed in their wake. I think that the protests were largely an expression of anger that was driven primarily by a narrative about policing, one that, while sort of understandable in a way, is ultimately false. And that narrative states that what we have in the United States of America is a police violence problem. I don't think that's true, which it's not to say that police don't have their problems. It's not to say that policing is perfect. There are certainly individual failings that we see all too often within police departments. George Floyd's arrest is one of those failings. And too often those failings lead to death and to despair, and we ought to be doing something about that. But that is separate and apart from the question of whether policing as an institution is violent.